Hello again. This is Karthik. We are here to work on Oops to Java. In the last video of my class, I have discussed about what is a class, what is an object, and how to create a class, how to create an object, what is a property, what is a method, how can we collect the properties, methods in the same class, and how to access them using new operator. What is instantiation? If you missed the earlier video, please look at the end of the video and you can have the synchronization of this video. So straight away we'll go with the next concept, that is constructor. So what is a constructor? We just see a simple example. So I'll create a simple example, say adds.java class adds. We just need to add some kind of values here. Say I just take few values here, say int a, or I can say number 1 comma number 2, same, and I can say float, say number 3 comma number 4. I want to say double, say number 5 comma number 6, string str1 comma str2. I just want to do some kind of addition operation between all these kind of values. This is a class. Class contains the properties. Now I just want to go with an constructor. What is a constructor? So constructor is just like a method of a class which have same name of class, which is automatically called whenever object is created. Whenever we create an object, automatically a constructor is called. I said it has same name of a class and which will be automatically called whenever object is created. And sometimes it looks like a method. It acts as a method of a class, but methods will have some return type, but constructor isn't. Constructor doesn't have any kind of return type, unlike method have. So that's why I say constructor is it could be one of the kind of method, but its return type will be the object. If you want me to show how to create a constructor, just see a constructor name should be same as a class with an public access specifier, public adds, and this is called constructor. See, this is the constructor looking like same as a method but having same name as a class, and there is no return type here. See, you don't have something like this, say void or something like int. Constructor should not have any return type. It should be an no return type, because obviously this adds will return something like the object. The object which we are calling here will return. We just say example, don't worry about that. I can say if you want to add something, say I just want to add I want to add something, say default. If I call default constructor, so system dot out dot print line, I want to say that adding operation. See, this is a constructor having no parameter. For example, if I want to call this constructor, straight away create a main method. So public static void main string args. It's a very important method in which you need to create an object. So class name is what? Adds space, say example adds equals to new adds, and here you can say that adds. Okay, enough. When I say add space object equals to new add, I said that this is an object name, new is an operator we use to allocate memory, and adds is something like a constructor. A constructor is directly called when I create object. Whenever I create object, obviously a constructor is called. The constructor having no parameter, hence obviously it will be called straight away this constructor, and see it will print adding operation. Let's run this. Say that java c space adds dot java space adds. I got adding operation. A simple examples. People who have, I will have a subsequent videos for Java which are somewhat real-time Java videos. We'll soon get the videos once you understand the basic stuff of Java. Sometimes you can even add, say, addition of two numbers, addition of two floating point numbers, addition of two double values, addition of two strings. Say example, you just public add say int num1 comma int num2. This is a method which want to add two numbers. So straight away, if you observe, these two should be assigned with the values these two. So how to assign? As I said earlier, this dot num1 equals to num1. The same way, this dot num2 equals to num2. Okay. Once I have done with this, I just try to print here by adding the operations, say copy and paste. So sum is, what is sum? Something say num1 plus num2. Likewise, I can add floating point sums. I can add different things, say that float say num3 and float num4, say here 3 and 4 are replaced with 3 and 4, and finally if I take sum 3 and 4. Okay, the same manner I can even change it to double. So num5 double num6, and I can say 5 and 6 and 5 and 6, and I can say sum equals to 5 plus 6. The same manner I can even add something like string, because string can also be added. I should not say add, I should say something like concatenation. Hence I say public adds of string str1 comma string str2, and this dot str1 equal to str1, and this dot str2 equal to str2, and finally just try to print the statement here. So print the statement as the sum is, I can say str1 plus str2. I can say str1 plus str2 or str1 dot concat of str2 if I add that as a string buffer. So str1 plus str2. See here, now I have totally 5 constructors. One is a parameterless constructor, another one is having 2 parameter constructor of integer type, 2 parameter constructor of float type, double type, string type. Now when I create an object for this particular constructor, see how the object is created. When I create object, immediately it asks me which add you want to call. Hence when I get a question at compiling itself, see when I say new, I immediately get a question that which constructor I want to call. If you call say adds of 5 comma 6, it calls to integer constructor. Example, if you run this check, you'll get output as sum is 11. When I create something like 5.7 comma 6, obviously one is float. If one is float, obviously it will be 6 will be converted into again float. We obviously get a value as 11.7. So because 5.7 is a higher value and 6 is a lower value, obviously the type is promoted. We call that concept as type promotion. Means 6 will be promoted from type integer to float, and it calls which constructor? This constructor. And when I call something like here, say that apple and boy something, and it obviously call the apple boy this constructor. Hence I can say that this particular object is asking the constructor at compile time. Means this particular constructors are being linked with that object at compile time. Means the same kind of constructor having same name but different functionalities. Okay, an object having same kind of name but doing multiple functionalities with a method or a constructor, we call it as an overloading. Fortunately, this is an constructor overloading because I am trying to work on an constructor. So a constructor overloading is a concept of a constructor having same name, that of a class, and having different parameters. So this is something like a constructor overloading. This constructor overloading or method overloading both are used to achieve something like what? Polymorphism. Which kind of polymorphism? Compile time polymorphism, because this methods or constructor will be achieved or justified at compile time only. If I don't justify here itself, I cannot say if I keep like this, I have to justify what kind of adds, whether it is adds or of integer type, double type, or something, say 6.7 comma 8.9. If I call like this, see, then obviously it will call, it will be saying that a problem, okay, semicolon is missing. Okay, so Java space adds. This is something like it calls the double value, double constructor method. That's why we got 15 digit precision. If I say something like here, say f and 1f, 1 without f, then can you guess what it calls? It obviously again calls double only, because again type promotion. This is a higher value and 6.7 will be converted into what? Higher value. Hence I got double. And if I say 8.9 as f, then run this and check what happens. See, we'll get float value because both are float values, and the type of that value is up to 7 digits. Hence I got 15.59999. This is a type of what? Float value. So this is all about a class having properties, having constructors. We have another important concept called as default constructor. What is called default constructor? See, we may have different types of constructors. One is constructor which is default, and constructor which is parameterless, and parameter constructor. So what exactly is all about is a constructor which is represented explicitly having no parameter is called as a parameterless constructor, and a constructor having parameters is called parameterized constructor, and a constructor which is not defined at all is called a default constructor. A default constructor will comes into play if there is no constructor for the class. For example, if I remove this entire particular logic, say example, if I remove all these things, say Ctrl X, I don't have any constructor now. But even though, sorry, if I remove all these things of constructors, see, I removed all here, I kept a main method and I removed this. Even though I don't have any constructors here, I am trying to call a constructor. This is something called default constructor. It calls to the default constructor. It is not present here, but every class maintains the default constructor. If you want me to say just compile this, it won't show any error. For example, if I run this, I don't have any adds, so it present an empty output. See, Java space adds, it gives me empty output. For example, if I keep all the things again, and if I call the same program, and this is what happens, I get output as adding operation, because this is something like explicit constructor, or I can say parameterless constructor. Explicit constructor is constructor which is not same as default constructor. Default constructor comes into play if there is no constructor at all in the class, and this constructor is different from default constructor. I can call this constructor as explicit constructor, and these constructors as parameterized constructor. Okay, so this is all about a class contains properties and constructors. So we can define the class now. I can define the class as what? Collection of properties, methods, constructors, etc. Okay, so this is all about having a class contains properties and constructors. So what we have learned is, we learned what is a class, what is the property, what is the constructor, how to create an object, and how to call different constructors. And in the earlier class, we have even seen a method with a class, and class contains properties, and it has different methods. Sometimes you can even have a combination of both method and a constructor. For example, see, I'll create a constructor here saying that public polygon. This is a constructor. Sometimes I just want to set values of, I have given here something 5.0 something, right? I can assign these values in the constructor itself, not directly in the declaration part. I just remove this. Now I'll write here, say length equal to 5.0f, just copy and paste, and say width, height. Means whenever I call a constructor, it initializes the values of length, width and height. So from this example, I can understand that constructor is a better kind of approach. When we create an object, the object should create with some kind of initial values. So whenever I call here a constructor directly, this will be printing the values like this. See here, when I call a constructor here, it obviously call this constructor and assign values of length, width and height. Now when I call the rectangle directly, it will call this area method, and it will check whether it is square. No, it is rectangle. S, it prints length into height. But since I have passed the dimensions as only length, I did not pass height, hence by default it takes height as 5.0. Hence if I run the program and say java c space polygon.java and java space polygon, you get output as 225, because the length is 45 and height is not represented. By default height will be taken as 5.0. If I don't have the constructor, then what happens is, example, if I cut this, then there is no constructor at all in this particular class. Hence by default, which constructor will comes into play? Default constructor will comes into play, and default constructor will automatically create the values of length, width and height as 0.0. Hence if I run the program again, that will print the output as 0 instead of 225, because earlier I have a default, I have a constructor called explicit constructor. Now I have kept no constructor, hence the default constructor comes into play, and default constructor automatically initialize the values of length, width and height as 0.0, and finally when I call rectangle it prints me 0. Even though I call something like other than rectangle, say parallelogram, when I call this, it is not a square, it is not a rectangle, it obviously go to else part and prints length into width into height. The length is 45, width and height are by default 0, and obviously it will print the same kind of example as what? 0.0. Or else if you want to change this into some kind of constructor, then again run this program, you will get output as 225 into 5, something which is 1125, because the length is taken as 45, height and width are taken as 5 and 5. Hope you understood the concept of constructor, and let us move to next class. In that we'll go for furthermore concept called this. We'll see other topics. Thank you. Keep watching.